The story of the squirrel and the bunch of grapes. In my grandfather's small garden, bunches of grapes were always a charming highlight. My grandfather planted many kinds of fruit trees, but there was a special corner of the garden where a vine grew strongly, reaching high into the sky. This vine produced bunches of juicy, sweet grapes that always attracted the eyes of everyone. Especially they were attracted to a little squirrel. Every day, the little squirrel came to the vineyard, climbing all over the branches of the grapes as if she belonged there, no different from an indispensable part of the orchard. The squirrel, though small, she had a strong vitality. She often jumped from branch to branch, playfully enjoying the sweet grapes. It could be said that the presence of the little squirrel was an indispensable part of my grandfather's vineyard. Time passed, the squirrel grew up, but she still did not give up the habit of climbing and enjoying the fresh bunches of grapes. Every day, under the sunlight, the vineyard became full of life. The bunches of grapes continued to ripen according to the season, and the little squirrel was always present. However, time waits for no one. Over the years, Grandpa's vineyard became old. The old grape branches gradually withered and were no longer as fresh as before. But the little squirrel, though grown up, she still kept the habit of coming to that vineyard as an invisible attachment to the place where she once lived and grew up. One day, the weather suddenly changed. The strong winds and rains with storms came. During that storm, a hurricane came from the north, bringing with its hungry and cruel insects with their sinister viruses. They invaded Grandfather's small garden, destroying the peaceful space of the vineyard. The wind and rain beat down. The grapevine branches broke, and the whole garden was in ruins. Witnessing that scene, the squirrel suddenly felt an indescribable sadness. Grandfather's vineyard, which was once a brilliant space, was now just a ruin, desolate. After the storm, the orchard of Grandfather became deserted. No longer heard the sound of birds, no longer flying or chirping, no longer heard of the rustling of leaves in the garden, no longer heard the cheerful swing of ripe grapes, or the jumping of many other birds. However, there was still an image that those who saw this sad scene could not forget in anyone's mind forever. Under the fallen grape branches, the squirrel still appeared. She walked around the broken piles, stopped for a long time as if she was saying goodbye to the grapevine, where she had been attached to for so many years. In her eyes, streams of tears fell as if she saw all the sadness, and she also felt that this great loss was coming and had come to her. The squirrel no longer jumped or ran up the grapevines like before. She just stood there quietly, her eyes glistening with tears, as if she was crying for the vineyard that had lost its original beauty. In that gloomy atmosphere, the image of the squirrel standing next to the fallen grapes was a symbol of loss of beautiful memories that could never return. Dear ladies and gentlemen, although I know that time will help my grandfather's vineyard to be revived, maybe there would have many new vines growing, and maybe one day there would have some other little squirrels come back to find the sweet bunches of grapes like the little squirrel did before. But for me, the memory of my grandfather's vineyard and the little squirrel from the old days, and the storm from the northern brought along with the cruel bacterium in that storm, will forever be a part of my mind, always reminding me to remember and understanding the fragility of life, including the beauty or ugliness of life that seem to be simple things or everyday things. But to me, or to you all if possible, those things are not simples. Dear ladies and gentlemen, the little squirrel in the story above, that is me, socked in, then and now, and the sweet bunch of grapes is my mother No. My mother's name is No. No is meaning of grapes in English. The beautiful images of the squirrel holding a bunch of grapes, then eating grapes in my grandfather's small garden. Those images were suggested and seen as look like a child being breastfed by her mother every day. And my name was given to me by my grandfather and my parents with a very funny and cute name, Sock. Squirrel is meaning Sock Vietnamese name. But today the cruel bacterium have taken away the sweet bunches of grapes and our dear mother No. Today we have truly lost our loved mother No. Mom No. Our hearts are broken now, Mom No. We miss and love you so much. Mom. Mom. Thank you very much for listening to my story about the story of Mom Grape and the little squirrel in the old days. Thank you very much for spending your precious time to watch this video. We wish you a wonderful day and don't forget to come back to watch the next video. Goodbye.